Hey everybody, Karen from Master Spirit Guides. I know it's really, really hard right now, but I really hope you're doing well. So we have to just try to keep that energy up. So I am going to be recording for the next 3 days. So you're going to watch this tonight, whenever you watch it, and then there'll be 2 more videos to follow. All right. And I just felt like I don't even know. It's really interesting because it's like the energy right now, right? Is where are we? What the hell? Where are we right now? And it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like I want to do what I was able to do for the last 2 months is like record on different topics and. So that's why I just feel like I need to spend the next 3 days discussing the energy around what's happening that was prompted. So there's no trigger warning needed here because we're not going to be talking about details about anything with the e-files. But the e-files are prompting a lot of things, which is good, even though it's freaking awful. It's still very good. So we'll get there. But at the end, so today we are talking about the survivors only, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay, so which you'll know. Hopefully, I mean, I'm going to feel really relieved by this, and I'm glad it came to me. Like I'm just like, okay, where should the focus be right now? Yeah, on the survivors, because nobody else is really focusing on that, and I thought that would help me feel like I can do something. And so we're going to talk about that. Okay. So at the end of each of these 3, we're going to do a clearing. So I'm going to talk for like 20 minutes. All right. So it's not going to be super long winded. I've got an outline that I worked with AI to help me make sure that it is appropriate and well said. And then I always interject stuff. But then I have Mabel wrote a clearing for me to do with us as a community. So if you can do nothing else, that is actually the best thing we can do. And so we will do an energy clearing with the lead team at the end of after our discussion. And this first one, I'll tell you what the first energy clearing request is going to be. I will put the energy clearing time in parentheses in the title. So when I start the energy clearing, I'll put the time in there. So in case you've already listened to this and you want to go back to the energy clearing and do it again tomorrow or something, feel free to do that. Okay. So for this energy clearing, this will be the request. Now I may add some things to it depending on what we talk about. Okay. So I will request that our lead team collective, please clear the collective field of shame, silence, and emotional isolation that's carried by survivors. Gently restore safety to their nervous systems, hearts, and bodies. Help our community recognize when to speak and when to simply hold space. Support us in taking real, practical action that protects and uplifts survivors now. Because nobody's talking about the survivors. And I think that's the first place that I want to start. Okay. Because I have a feeling, because you know how polarized we are right now, which was not of our making. So we're very polarized right now, but people who are not recognizing that yet, and a lot of people on the right, on the left are recognizing. I'm seeing comments all over the place, even from like really, like I'm kind of peeking my nose into really popular right wing, voted for Trump, supported him, thought they knew what was going on, but realizing now they don't, which we didn't either. So, and saying this isn't about us versus them, it's about the hierarchy versus it's about the hierarchy basically. So everybody's talking about that is so good. That is so good. But nobody said it was going to be easy. But for those who are still us and them, because not everybody's there yet, not by any means. I have a feeling the survivors, especially us versus them, these people that don't want to lose power and control and who are being threatened, their power and control is being threatened. You could probably guess that the survivors, especially the public ones who have these souls, these spirits who have come forward at this time to have been put in this place to break down this structure. I mean, I just got major chills. Holy effing crap. Just pause on that for a minute. They came here. So now we can, I'm just getting like this understanding, and we're going to talk, you'll understand it more by the end of this, especially from astrology standpoint and everything. But like, okay, because I know it's really hard to think like, why would a soul agree to come down? Why would it be a part of their life plan? Just think of one survivor you know about. Okay, Virginia Dufresne. All right. So why would she have her soul agreed to come down to this place and have that experience? Why would she do that? Right? Well, one explanation could be because, and she agreed that she would, maybe she agreed that she would be strong enough to come forward and come forward and come forward, regardless of what her life would mean. Okay. Instead of just going on and living her life, going on vacations or whatever, can you imagine what all of these survivors who are stepping forward right now are experiencing? So we're going to talk about that, because I want to get clear on what they might be experiencing. I'm not going to say for sure, but what they might be experiencing. So we're going to hit it from all different angles. Okay. But for them to, and not all survive. Everybody had their own way, their own plan, their own spiritual plan for this. But these souls that decided to do this for humanity, holy crap, right? Like, and again, you could say that about any person's experience that is so traumatizing and big and made a huge difference. That's what I'm talking about, is that they agreed to do this because, from a spiritual perspective, because they knew that this was going to get exposed at this time, and we needed a certain amount of souls to have experienced it that would come forward and be able to, take the hits for us, So right now I want all the energy from me and anyone else who wants to direct their energy there. But I think that's where our energy needs to be right now. So while everybody else is off talking about the perps and the files and all the details and whatever, I would love it. So I'm doing a call to action for us. If we, for the next week or two or whenever, or permanently, you may decide that is where your energy vibration rises, is when we focus on the survivors and we focus on the actual children it is currently happening to, so that we start I'm seriously, like, I think one thing I will get my butt off it. I'm thinking about it. But if I have a local chapter of like some survivor group or that needs some kind of volunteer work, or a child trafficking that needs some volunteer work, like do paperwork I'm thinking that might be where I put my energy, because we need something to do, right? We need something to do. But let's not, for us to sit and watch the details and the details and the details in our vibration, that's not the point. Let's let the law deal with that, if we even frickin' have one still. We do. We do. I don't know about the national level. Clearly not at the national level in the United States, but um, and who knows how. Yeah, we know that this is not just the United States. Oh my God. Yeah, this whole thing, it is, the us against them. They've pitted country against country too. This is not about country against country. This is not about citizens versus citizens. Not at all. This isn't about black and white. This is not about heterosexual and homosexual. This is not about, it's just not. None of it is about that. None of it is about that. It is about power versus no power. It is about financial gain versus not financial gain. It's about, you know what I mean? That's all it is. And they have known how to, for many, 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 like thousands of years, known how to psychologically, because they've been doing it for a long time and it's been passed down. You know how our families have passed stuff down to us? Well, their families have passed stuff down to them about how to play the game, right? To stay in power, right? So that's what's breaking apart right now. That's what's breaking apart. And we're seeing now that the e-files are the first step. Well, maybe not first, but it is one that's really waking all of us up. And now is the right time. Now is the right time to be using I'm waking up. Because they've used that against us. Oh, you're woke, the woke this, the woke that, and made it sound bad because they were afraid of the real awakening. The real awakening is exactly what we're talking about today, which again is not even like scraping the surface, right? Of what the awakening is going to be. So, okay, so let's focus there today. So thank you so much for joining me. And this is not to grow my channel whatsoever, I do not want to grow this channel based on these conversations. But if you think that this approach is helpful, then just give it a thumbs up, hype the video or whatever, so that more people can get pulled into action on behalf of the survivor. So people have somewhere to go right now. So people have something to do. And then we can all do the clearings together, okay, to help with our energy and all that. Okay, so this is what I've got. This is what Mabel has written for me. So I'm going to do a little reading here, and then, I always talk in between. So, okay, so conversation is not about headlines. It's not about who did what. It is about the people who were hurt and are still hurting, okay? We slow this down and bring it back to human beings. Astrologically, which is where I do want to talk about that, because there are some important astrological aspects. And in the spirit circle where I realized, because a couple of days ago, you guys, I was talking about, well, I just don't feel 100% comfortable on the public channel talking about some of these things, right? On the public. And so I realized though, and I was like, well, do I do another tier in the membership or whatever? And I realized when I was going over I did Coffee with Karen this week. If you're in the practice, which is the second tier, it's $4.99 a month. Okay. If you're in the second tier, I realized that with the forecast this month, which is the astrology incorporating the messages that the lead team gives us, as well as when I do Coffee with Karen and we kind of revisit the astrology over the last 2 weeks and then the weeks going forward. And we do our book review as well, our book discussion. I realized because in February when I did the forecast, and I might have always been doing, because we only have been doing it since January. But when I did the forecast the beginning of January, the first week, and then Coffee with Karen, that while I was talking about the astrology, I was pulling in stuff that's going on right now. So I thought, I don't need another tier because we don't need to talk specifics. I don't want to do that but we can, if you're in the practice and you want to join us in there, that's where we'll be processing what's going on in more detail, more than we are here. Not detail, but in more, I'll just be pulling in basically what I'm seeing happening and how the astrology is actually supporting it and the messages from the lead team. I have to say, like the one I recorded yesterday, I just felt like, and this is, please don't misunderstand me. This is not a sales pitch, okay? It's just where we can have different kind of conversation behind the scenes. That's really, and that's why we left. I mean, some people find it hard to pay for it, and I totally understand that. But that's why I've left the amount lower. Okay. So, but I just swear, like yesterday, I just felt like I did not have that entire conversation. Like it was totally channeled through me because everything we said and all the connections made between the messages the lead team gave us for February. And anyways, it's so if you want to join us because you can see how things are not going to calm down for a very long time. So we will be having those conversations because I will get back to doing regular sessions. Like yesterday, we put out the Q&A with the lead team, answering 30 of your questions that you guys had about a variety of topics. I had pre-recorded that prior to this last, let's say, structural shift that's happening, energetic shift that's happening. And I don't know, it'll be, I'm going to try to do 3 more on Sunday. So more of the deeper conversations are going to probably happen in there. Okay. But I will, when there's something huge, I will do what I'm doing now, like this little series. Okay. Okay. Back to, well, it was all part of it. So astrologically, we are in a collective exposure cycle. So we just have to remember that. We're in an exposure cycle. Pluto has moved into Aquarius. This marks the start of a long period where hidden power structures and buried harm, because this has been buried. Again, the Great Awakening, right? This is the Great Awakening. It really is. This is going to be the Great Awakening. So all of this is coming to the surface because Pluto has moved into Aquarius. Now, I don't know, like we have astrologers here, we got Faye, so I'm sure watch for Faye's comments. I'm sure she'll comment at some point. I don't know how long Pluto is in Aquarius, but you can look that up. Okay, but it does say for a long period. In this type of cycle, human stories will rise before institutional reform. Okay, so I have been out there in YouTube land as I've been watching people, watching things to try to process all this information or how to deal with it. I've been seeing people like, well, what do we do about it? Nobody's doing anything. And it's like, okay, and I keep writing very calmly and, very nicely. Just, I totally get, like, first of all, we have to go through the grieving process, and then we have to, we just have to process this. The survivors have been processing this for a very long time. But those who are just waking up to it need a little time. I mean, it's been like a week, right, of real intense disclosure. For others, it's been longer. People voted for Trump because they thought he was on the right side of this. I kind of get that now. We have people in our family who, a kind of extended family, who were talking about the Dems eating babies at some point. Sorry, there's a trigger warning. I should have given you a trigger warning. But because it was associated with Dems, it was very political, right? So if someone had just said, this is happening, let's just not even say that, but just this is happening, then people might have taken them a little bit more seriously. But because it was political, which is exactly what they wanted, this is not to blame anybody. I mean, they were right. They were freaking right. But because that's what the elites wanted. That's what the elites have been doing for thousands of years, is creating this division, right? So, and they've done it, all of us. There's nobody to blame here. There's nobody to blame. There's nobody to blame. Why do you think that? Now, in my view, and where I have put my attention, so let me just clarify that. It appears to me that those on the left are not as blatantly divisive, let's just say. But they're almost like they're almost play the game of like the passive hero or something. I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet. What this whole left side is all about, right? In this story, in this bigger story. I haven't figured that out, which is fine. We're processing. But so we all have to grapple with which side we did take and why. Like, why are people who agreed with the left? So why did you agree with that? And then why do people agree with the right stance on things, right? Because anyways, I don't know. I think the right, again, just from my viewpoint, I'm not even saying I'm right. You guys, how's my microphone? Can you guys, when you're in the chat, I had somebody saying it might be because I'm like hitting on here. Is this affecting the microphone? Like that? I need to not touch my little studio. That might be it. So let me know in the chat. Okay, Lob, can you let me know if that's what was causing the microphone issue? Okay. So I think for people, again, I'm just processing this. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't talk about it because I don't know yet. I'm just trying to get my head wrapped around the prejudice part of it, how they were able, and it seems that the people on the right were able to do this more with their side of things, is it create prejudices against people who weren't, man, woman, black, white, trans. The trans was like huge this year, right? And they use that. Like the left would not do that. The left would not do that. And there's some other story that the left is playing in this whole manipulation game between the elites and everybody else. Okay, there is a reason they play this, and I want to uncover what it is. That's the Great Awakening. What is it that those on the left? What role have we been playing for the elites on the left? I feel like it's a little bit more clear what role they've been playing on the right, but I might be wrong. It's only because I see them differently. You know what I mean? So I would like to uncover that. What role have we been playing? And then I'd like to do, so that might be part of this series. I might do 4, but I don't know. I might just keep going. And we'll do a clearing on that. All right. Geez, it's already 23 minutes and look at. So let me just buzz through this. Okay. So what is missing in public conversations right now? The focus is staying on powerful names. The focus is staying on institutions. And the focus is staying on who might fall. Okay? And we don't really want to relish in who might fall because just remember the energy you're sending out there, right? You don't want to fall either. So let's let love win. Let love deal with it. Let divine deal with it. Okay, they're dealing with it. The divine is dealing with it. But, okay, who is really missing? The survivors became background noise. Their pain became secondary. Their pain is totally secondary right now, which is why I want to have this conversation. Their safety has become an afterthought. Who is protecting them right now? And not only safety physical wise, but just emotionally. Because all they're probably having to listen to is they're listening to all of this like, well, nobody's talking about what I just went through or I've been through. Nobody's talking about that. Nobody's talking about the children who are actually going through it right now, right? So they have become an afterthought. And I wanted to make sure that they are not an afterthought, that after 4 days of processing this or whatever, or 2 weeks or whatever, well, actually, we've been doing it for a while because last year we were just skimming the surface. Like I actually did a session with Epstein and his higher self and a pendulum message from him, which was interesting, to help process. But like that, the focus wasn't on the survivors, So, but this is where we're at. I'm not going to hold shame on that, but it's, I've been awakening slowly, like everybody else. Okay, so for most of human history, power has operated through hierarchy and dominance. And I was reminded today, as somebody was reading the Constitution, all men are treated equal. All men. So hierarchy, elites, they've probably told themselves over, there's a reason why they just put men, right? There's a reason why women couldn't vote for a long time. All men are created equal, right? So it's okay if we treat, and I know boys are children, male children are treated this way as well. There's no doubt. But, girls, children, young children, babies are treated this way around the world because of this hierarchy and dominance, okay? But we're going to talk about that because you guys have to remember that the shadow side of a long-running divine masculine cycle has ended. So we were 250,000 years of an imbalance of divine masculine. 250,000 years. And actually, I was just talking to my husband about this because now I understand, if I'm understanding it correctly, I'm putting the pieces together. So over the last, all of us have been talking about like the last 50 years, like Project 2025, right? I think Project 2025, which started like 50 years ago, slowly, probably in a gentleman's club, with their cigars and their whiskeys, Sorry, I mean, you can enjoy those things, but you get, I think the energy, the astrological energy, supported that as the last ditch effort. And guess what's happening today? This is the final stage of the last ditch effort because we just ended. I'm making this guess, so you guys tell me if you think this feels right to you. Because we just ended 250,000 years of divine masculine cycle and divine feminine cycle now moving into the next 250,000 years. Well, guess those who have higher feminine energy, which is born female, I'm guessing most of us, and not, there are many men who have divine feminine energy. Everybody does. Everybody's got both, but women have more. Girls, females are born with more feminine energy. I'm guessing. I don't know. Just throwing this out there. I feel like sometimes when I don't know, I'm just like, well, okay, I'm saying this, but I don't know how to explain it. But who is more likely to go to their death for their children? Who, right? Who is more likely? Moms, of course. More likely. Not that dads won't, but moms are more likely. Why do you think the mama bear, you don't want to mess with a mama bear because you will not survive. The papa bear, I don't know. If the papa bears were on his kids, I don't know. You always hear about the mama bear. Do the baby bears even go around the papa bear? I don't think so. So there's a reason for that. Okay. With the divine feminine rising now, this was the last ditch effort. Project 2025 was the last, and that was probably worldwide, by the way. I highly doubt it was just the US. I highly doubt it. The Project 2025, okay? So last ditch effort because, and they didn't, if they looked at the astrology, maybe, well, if they looked at the astrology and actually used it, maybe they wouldn't have fought against it so much. They can't fight against it. You just can't fight against it. So the e-files coming out now is it's no surprise. It's been hidden because divine feminine has been hidden. It's been lower, but now divine feminine is rising. Well, guess what happens? And it just literally, wasn't it just last year that it crossed over? It switched. I mean, isn't that amazing? How quickly the mama bears are like, oh no. And now the Great Awakening. So can you imagine? That's how beautiful this is going to be going forward, because masculine energy that's not balanced with feminine energy, we need both. Both are important, and we've all played both roles, right? In different avatars. So this is no diss on male versus female or anything like that. But they both play important roles for us, but it hasn't been balanced. So that's why things have been, I mean, that's how I'm logically looking at this, right? So I guess this is going to be a little longer then. Okay. So hierarchy protects positions before people. So just keep that in mind, because we're like, they're not protecting the children, but they're protecting the hierarchy. So hierarchy protects that. But, again, the feminine rising is like, oh, no, no, no. But the masculine, it's just not going to go down without a fight. It's just, hopefully they do. I mean, we can just get a nice surrender going on. Okay, so this is exactly what is being challenged right now. All right. So why survivors are being re-hurt, we need to understand that survivors are being re-hurt, and not just survivors of this particular structure of the elite, but all survivors are being hurt right now. They're being re-hurt right now. Repeated exposure in the media, constant speculation, personal details resurfacing, the DOJ not even, oh, you guys, oh my gosh. I mean, incredible. That behavior of Pam Bondi, incredible. She literally brings up the Tao, which, watch out for that, man. Major manipulation going on there. She brings up the Tao when she was asked to turn to the survivors and apologize. She's like, oh, but the Tao is getting to 100,000. I'm like, the psychosis around this is unbelievable. And she's the head of our DOJ. So again, we're going to talk about where we have control, right? And we can do stuff right now. But I don't have control over that. It's just, that was popcorn time. Even though, but the re-hurting of those survivors, I mean, how cruel can you be? You see where she put the focus? On money and power. That's where she put the focus. The survivors are sitting right behind her. No compassion whatsoever. The hierarchy. Who do you think? I mean, it's so interesting how blatant it is. But you know what? So much better to be blatant, because that's what I'm wondering about the role of the left. The passive, not blatant, not rude, but they're playing a role, but they're not doing anything either. They haven't been doing anything. They have been just as complicit, you guys. So that's, and not that people get into it on the left and are complicit, same on the right, but they have to learn to survive. They learn to survive, and then they get indoctrinated, right? So right now we're seeing the blatancy of like panic. I've never seen anything like it. It's like, and that's when we talked last year, like get the popcorn out, right? It's that kind of thing. But when it was, I don't mind talking about the popcorn when it's not hurting the survivors. Because now everybody's talking about her behavior, and how are people supporting the survivors in this, So again, repeated exposure in the media, constant speculation, personal details resurfacing, stories being debated instead of honored. God, I'm so sick of that. I am so sick of children, and I'm so sick of people being abused and being denied. And they've come up with this over my lifetime. You could see it. This, how they put doubt. Even even movies were created to create doubt. Movies have been created. When I saw that Jodie Foster movie, you guys know what I'm talking about? I was horrified, absolutely horrified. But I think those movies have been slowly created to, you know what I'm talking about. I don't even need to explain this whole thing, but I'm over it. I am over it. Everybody's believed. It's just like innocent until proven guilty. Everybody's believed until they don't have to prove to me. You don't have to prove to me. Everybody's believed. Why would you make that up? Give me a break. Okay, one person in the history in the last 100 years made it up because they wanted some attention. They cried wolf, whatever. One person. You know what I mean? But that's become the story. So then everybody, what she's wearing, I'm over it. I'm done. I'm tired of that. I worked in colleges, so this SA situation came up a lot. So I work with survivors a lot, actually, from the point of view that I could work with them. But I've taken several females to the emergency room. So I'm over this. I'm over it. All right. So so because of this whole thing, see, it's creating trauma. It's the trauma is even fresh in me, and I am not a survivor of SA, but the trauma is even stressing. It's even fresh. I think that's it. Like it's fresh in all of us who haven't been believed about something, or who can't believe other people can't believe, or just sick of the story. Sick of the story of actually hearing people. My own father, when we were taught, one time I was sitting there, and again, this is his conditioning. So this is the us versus them thing. I love him. He's my father, but I don't like him. I don't like him because of the division they have caused. Okay. So I'm owning, our thing, but this is my point. This is the kind of stuff I would have to deal with. So one of the last times I saw him, we're just sitting there watching a football game, and he just likes to poke, right? Sitting there, and he knows what pokes at me. Like humanity, people's rights, the shit I hear people on the right talking about. It's the same language. It's like the language he uses reverberates around that app Well, anyways, he says to me, he just brings up out of the blue, like we're visiting like on Father's Day or something, just brings up out of the blue. He says, like, why would a woman, this had to do with Trump and Eugene, or Carol, sorry. Hang on a sec. I was getting her letters wrong. So E.G. Carroll. Okay, E.G. Carroll. So he just goes, why would a woman, like, oh, right, like 15 years later? And I'm like, oh my God. See, he wants to start a fight with me, and he has no education. He's just talking about what he heard on Fox News, he moved to Newsmax, by the way, because that was better. He moved to Newsmax because he found out that Fox was lying to him. He did. He found that out. He did find that out after the 2020 election. He found that out. So, but he moved to Newsmax. Okay. So, anyways, yeah. And I because I'm an extroverted feeler, I can't keep quiet about, everybody else in my family is just like, oh, okay, whatever. No, not me. I'm like, Dad, then I have to like explain, like you don't know, you don't understand. But I'm just tired of that. Like, but see, that's what I'm talking about. E.g. care. Oh, because she brought it up 15 years later. Well, yeah, there's a lot of reasons for that. I mean, effer. I mean, effer. Sorry. Oh my God, you just never know where these talks are going to go. Holy cow. My sister's going to be like, 20 minutes, keep it to 20 minutes. This is why I got exhausted all last year because we were having hour talks about stuff. The coffee with Karen yesterday was an hour and a half. But these topics, I'm probably just going to do one today. I'm going to do one tomorrow because I usually record 3 at a time. Because I'm going to do these clearings. I probably won't want to do the clearings all together. So I'm just going to record one tomorrow, one on Saturday. I usually take Friday and Saturday off, but okay. But this is so important, you guys. All right, where was I? Okay, so just a reminder that survivors right now have fresh trauma, which even we do, right? But can you imagine, right? All survivors. Loss of control, loss of dignity, loss of emotional safety. We are crossing from a dominance-based era. So this is the astrology. We are crossing from a dominance-based era into a healing-based era. How good does that feel to hear that? Doesn't that feel good? It's just, how do we get from here to there? This is how we get from here to there. We just have these conversations, right? And do some work. The rising of divine feminine restores through safety, presence, and emotional truth. So this conversation is part of the divine feminine rising, right? I'm trying, by facilitating this conversation, to restore some safety, presence, and emotional truth for survivors right now. That's what I'm trying. I mean, that's just where my guidance has come to this point. Okay. This wasn't Karen. This isn't Karen. This is guidance. This conversation is guidance. I can guarantee my entire, I think all of my whole life, right? When you look back, it's like, oh yeah, that was guidance, the whole thing. I can see it now. When you look back over your life, you can see, right? This whole year of me popping on YouTube all of a sudden using these a week before the election. It's like I had a week before the election, literally 1 week before the election, I had no idea I was going to do this. And then I saw somebody do it. I know I told the story before, but I saw somebody do it on YouTube, which I had not watched ever prior to the March before. And I get on, I see her do it, and I was like, oh, I can do that. So I just recorded a video. No thought, no processing. This is what extroverts do, at least. I don't know if that's an extroverted thing or I don't know. I just popped right into it. It's probably not an extroverted thing. Maybe. I don't know. It's more like a P, a perceiver in the Myers-Briggs, the last letter, judge or perceiver. It's more like a P. They just kind of go with the flow. That's exactly what I was doing. Anyways, so you can't tell me that wasn't guidance, and then and it just kind of, and it just, my whole life just kind of went down this road. So here we are. Okay, so guidance, right? So again, divine feminine rising restores through safety, presence, and emotional truth. So we want to hold that space right now. Old systems still process harm. Old systems are still processing harm through exposure, force, and public confrontation. So just keep that in mind. We are going to be in that period of time for a while. I don't know who's going to be playing the roles, but this community is going to be holding the space for any now at this point. I can see how this is shifting. Again, I talked about this last week or in a couple of videos ago. I can see why I woke up one day and I was like, I'm done talking about politics. And then we shifted into just for the last 2 months, just hitting on spiritual topics and talking to spiritual people or different, entities that have played significant roles on Earth or whatever. And now I can see where this is shifting. I can see why. And I've just been going with the flow, which I highly encourage you to do if you want to live a more intuitive life. It's just go with the flow of whatever your intuition is telling you to do. And that's why and thank goodness my sister and Lab and Jared have been really open to me just shifting like 2 months ago. I mean, we got way more views when I was talking about politics, right? But I was like, I can't do it anymore. But we got way more views on that. So if we just followed the money, I would have just kept doing that, right? So, but I can see now we needed a break. We took a little break. So if you've been in the community, like, I'm not saying this is what everybody needed in the community, but this is what I needed. And I think this is where my guidance was. So my guidance, the lead team has been saying like, this is what the community needs, like for whoever, is to take a break. So we took a 2-month break from talking about like every day, just talking about politics and doing the SGs with politics. And now I can see us shifting into this healing, like, and understand, like having these kind of conversations. So I don't know how that's going to go with our like nightly videos. I'm probably going to throw in some, for relief, not to make every conversation heavy, but it's like, we just need to process this together. That's how I feel. And we're going to go in the spirit circle. Like I talked about, the processing will be even a little deeper, but we just have to process this together. So I can see why we needed that little break, So the mismatch is part of why survivors are being re-hurt right now. Okay. Because old systems still process harm. The old system is there. It is there. And we haven't even scratched the surface. Which is why I feel like this is how I can see where we're going to need to keep talking about these. And I do think on a public level, I can talk about this and not feel so vulnerable without like talking about specific names or specific, you know what I mean? We can talk about generalities and the energy around it while healing ourselves. You know what I mean? I think that's possible to do. The more specific stuff that really we can get to the bottom of, if I'm seeing connections, I probably will do that in the spirit circle, not on a huge way, not in a like, a triggering way, but well, I'm going to let my practice people tell me, because you have to tell me. I have to read your comments from yesterday's video. Okay. So let's see. Just remember, survivors are not symbols. They are not proof. They are not tools for social change. This is coming from Mabel, and I thought it was good advice. They are human beings. Survivors carry lived emotional and body level truth. That form of knowing belongs to the feminine intelligence returning to collective leadership. So that's the astrology around that section. Okay. The form of knowing belongs, like, don't you just have a knowing now? Anybody else just have this knowing? We don't necessarily know how to place it into words or structure yet, but I just have this very strong knowing. And that's the feminine energy rising. Okay. It is returning to collective leadership. So rather than us saying, I can never trust anybody who's elite, which I have had that feeling, I can't trust anybody in government. That actually may be true right now. I don't know. But I'm done being played. So there may be some people in government right now who are trustworthy, but they're going to have to prove it. They're going to have to show me they're done playing games, because it's all this whole thing, calling people. It's so stupid. Like they're calling people to testify about this, and it's sound bites for both sides. That's all it is. The left's playing their role, the right's playing their role, but they're not getting anything done. So they're going to have to prove it to me before I believe anybody who's currently there. But just know, this is very encouraging. The feminine rising will return to collective leadership, but it's going to take some time. So the question is, what do we do in the meantime? Right? That's really this is where I wanted to go with this. What do we do in the meantime? Because we need to put our energy somewhere, don't we? That's helpful and useful. right? So here are some tips. What we can actually help survivors right now. We slow down the way we talk about this. Okay. We stop sharing sensational content. We stop repeating unverified stories. We stop playing detective. Who hasn't been doing this? Okay, there are a few of you who have not been doing this. I'm so proud of you. Yeah. Oh, I'm totally on playing detective right now. Oh, I can see all the pieces. I gotta stop it because my brain got like, yeah, I can tell like when my brain gets overloaded. In feminine-led healing cycles, which is what we're in, feminine-led healing cycles, emotional safety comes before public reckoning. So that's why I want to talk about this. We need to, emotional safety is more important right now. It'll get done. Trust divine timing. Trust the astrology. The astrology ain't giving us, I mean, this shit's happening whether the people at the top want it or not. Now, we can slow it down. We can slow it down by not providing ourselves with emotional safety, by getting caught in the headlines. We can slow it down. We don't want to slow this timeline down now. We are in this timeline now and we want to speed it up. So the way we can speed this up is to provide emotional safety and do the things that are actually making you feel useful instead of not useful. Because I think right now we all feel a little bit of out of control. We all feel like nothing's going to change. We don't feel like we have any power. I've even said they're not going down without a fight, which is true, but that doesn't mean we don't have any power. If we feel like we don't have any power, and this happens at any, then you lose it. You lose your power. So how do we get our power? It's not this. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. No, I'm going to have some power because I'm going to look into some organizations right now in my local community and I'm going to see what kind of volunteer work I can do even for 2 hours a week just to get into that organization. Then when I learn about the organization, I might donate some money to them, but I got to learn about it first. I don't trust organizations right now. I really don't. Too many organizations, the Red Cross did it, other organizations have done it, where they've taken people's money and they did something corrupt. I don't trust them. So that might be what I do. I think I'm going to. I am going to look at some local, and I'm going to call and I say, what can I do? What can I do? And even if it's in my home, what can I do? What can I do to volunteer? Do you need somebody to take tickets at an event? This way I can be around the organization and I can look into it and then I'll donate some money to them is probably what I'm going to do. That is going to make me feel like I am doing something to help survivors right now. Okay, so healing comes first. So we have to remember that we've got to talk about I would really, really love if everybody on the internet right now was talking about the survivors. I'd really, really love that. Let's talk about them first. This doesn't mean like going out and giving them all hugs. No, maybe they don't want that. Maybe they don't want the exposure. But let's talk, let's make sure that they feel safe. Let's listen. Nobody's out, if you're going to go listen to anybody, if you're planning to play detective and want the details, look for survivors who are talking about this. Those are the people we need to be listening to. In fact, I'm going to do that. I listened to one. It was very hard. It was very, very hard. But I've done some healing this week since listening to her. That was on Sunday. It's Thursday today. I've done some healing since then. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to listen to whoever else is willing to put themselves out there. Holy crap. Way more guts than I ever had. So I'm going to listen. That's another thing I'm going to do. I'm just coming up with this, like this is what feels right for me right now off the cuff. So I didn't know this before I started having this conversation, but I'm going to stop playing detective. I don't care. I don't care who Because right now I'm going to assume they're all in on it. Whatever. Okay. I don't care who. But what I do care about is what can I do to help the survivors? Okay. And I want them to tell me. You tell me. What can I do? Where can I put my money? If I need to send my money to one of the survivors, I will do that because maybe they need extra security right now, right? Because these lovely souls have put themselves in this place for us to be able to get to where we're going. And we need to say thank you. I got major chills. Major chills. So healing comes first, then structural change will follow. So healing comes first. Okay. That is helpful for me because again, I hear everybody's like, oh, we don't know what to do. This is crazy. You know what I mean? Okay. So how we can support, we're going to talk about this and then we're going to do a clearing. How we can support, donate to, well, I've already kind of talked about them. Donate to survivor support organizations, share trauma-informed resources, normalize therapy and body-based healing. Again, people here have way more education in therapy and all this kind of stuff. So if any of this stuff doesn't sound, just take it and leave it. Okay, this is from Mabel. So make safe listening spaces in our own community. So that's interesting. A safe community. So that's one of the things we're doing and I might have to think about if we're going to keep it. I'll have to ask you guys for people in the practice. Do we have a different day where we just talk about this? Maybe it's Coffee with Karen about what's going on in the world and Coffee with Karen forecast. I might have to do that just so people can choose. So we have a safe space. Okay. That's really what it is. A safe listening space. Okay. In our community. So let me give that some thought, but that might be the way to go. Because there's going to be people who just like, give me the forecast and, so I kind of know what's going on and generally, but then we might have a little safe space in the practice, just with, I can label them certain ways. Okay. So believe survivors without interrogating them. Of course, see, that's the shit that I'm done. I've always been done about that, by the way, but I am done for society to be done with that. Because it's just, again, they've done that. This power thing has done that, Community level care is how new social systems begin forming. So do something in your community. Do something in your community. Remember the Lead Team Collective all last year. Go to the community, take care of yourself, go to the community. Well, now I can see where I can actually go to the community. I didn't know where to, but this one's really resonating with me. So other things might be resonating with you. Like other people might want to work with immigration and work, you might want to, if immigration and how immigrants are being treated right now, you may want to find an organization in your community to understand it better and to pay attention to what's going on in your community. I don't think just showing up for protests is going to do it at this point. I really don't. I think we have to, it's great. We got to do that too, because they need the message, but they don't care. They do not care. They don't care. They don't care. It's not going to make that change. Make that change. Poor Michael. You just know, I know him himself, but anyways. I got to backtrack on the poor Michael thing just because he was it's a thing, right? It goes on from generation to generation and what he got involved in or whatever. But okay, sorry. Let's just cut, clear, and cancel that part because that's a whole nother thing. Okay, believe survivors without interrogating him, like Michael's survivors have dealt with. Totally not believed, totally interrogated, right? Community level care is how so community level care is how new social systems begin forming. This is how the feminine rebuilds culture, is Mabel's suggestion. Community level care is how new social systems begin forming. I totally get now where I can put some of my time. I'm excited. I've been waiting to figure it out. All right, you guys, let's go ahead. I got a little bit more, but it's already an hour. So, okay, let's do, so I'm going to put the clearing in the comments at 60 minutes. All right, 60 minutes. Thought it was going to be 20, but all right. I close my aura to all but my higher self, the God consciousness, my guides, guardians, the lead team collective, and only those of the highest and purest light, and ask Archangel Michael to please protect my channel, your channel, our community, the lead team collective, so it is all of the highest and purest light. Amen. Hey, you guys. Oh, you guys. Okay. So I am going to ask, as always, if you're new here, welcome. This is how the clearings usually go. I do have a playlist with clearings as well, and we do special clearings in the Spirit Circle. So what I usually do is I usually just talk off the cuff, but I do have some stuff written down just so we can be clear. All right. Hi, Luce. Hi. She's trying to wake my husband up. She does that too. So I'm going to say this, you can add to it for additional energy clearing out there in the world, whatever is important to you, and you can take something back. Like just say, I don't want that cleared. Okay. Whatever you feel good about. Okay. So lead team, please clear the collective field of shame, silence, and emotional isolation that is carried by survivors. Gently restore safety to their nervous systems, hearts, and bodies, as well as ours. Help our community recognize when to speak and when to simply hold space. Support us in taking real, practical action that protects and uplifts survivors and children and anyone who's in a vulnerable space, any kind of survivor in a vulnerable space right now. Because what I love about that is we all might understand now what kind of practical action to take, and it may not be specifically around SA trafficking, okay? It might be something else to get out and do something at the local level, because I think that's where we need to put our energy right now. Lead team, would you agree with that? If it feels right to you, again, follow your intuition. You'll know when it's right. Okay, so hang on. Let's say hi to Lucy. Come here. This way, if I give her a little too, because I picked her up. Hey, sis. You are talking. Okay. I tell you, I have been doing this to her like, because animals are vulnerable too. And I've just been like, for all the animals and just for anyone who's vulnerable, we're all vulnerable. I mean, we're all vulnerable to what's going on, but there's more vulnerable among the vulnerable, right? Okay. So lead team, please, can you please do that clearing for us? Okay, so hopefully if she meows, it's not going to bother you. So let's go ahead and do the clearing, and then we'll do a 1-minute hug at the end, and hopefully you'll feel a little better by the end of this. So just relax and I'll let you know when it's over, okay? Hang on, sorry, I'm gonna have to start it over. Her and I just did a stare down. Okay, we'll see how it goes. All right, let's do the clearing. Thanks, you guys. 1, 2, 3. Is there another layer? Wow, I'm surprised there's not. Okay. All right. Okay, lead team, can you give us a massive hug, please, and just send as much positive, calming energy to us? And we'll hold for 1 minute, okay? That was awesome. I really felt that. I hope you guys did too. Okay, well, thanks for hanging out with me. I think, I think this is just where it's at right now. We're just gonna, you know, I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow. We're gonna do another layer conversation about this. So I really wanted to talk about the survivors first. Okay? All right. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.